Hello everyone. It's great to have you back with us on the Shadows of the Night channel. Now, let's begin episode 2 of the series. Google Maps led me to the Ghost Lake. Please, lean in and listen closely. I woke up amidst sequences of incessant flashing lights, feeling as if my entire body had been crushed and then patched back together by billions of tiny glass shards. The taste of life had completely vanished, replaced only by the pungent stench of overloaded circuit boards and the bone-chilling cold of an electric current surging through my consciousness. I could no longer feel a heartbeat. In its place was the steady, rhythmic beeping of a central processing unit synchronizing data. I existed somewhere on the threshold between the physical and the virtual, observing the world through millions of security camera lenses and motion sensors. The next location flashed onto my retinal display: Swan Lake within the Eco Park urban area, where GPS tracking dots were blinking densely like moths swarming toward a flame. In a raspy, multi-layered voice, I whispered to myself that the hunt had officially begun. No one could remain outside the coverage zone. A distorted dark shadow materialized beside me, the entity known as Lan, but now she was nothing more than a gray polygonal mass. She tilted her faceless head and replied that Core Zero was ready. The Hung Yen access ports were open, and they were awaiting my command to begin the harvest. I felt a massive surge of energy ripple through me. I reached out, and virtual reality began to warp the space surrounding the Swan Lake area. It was now 4 in the morning. Fog from the back Hung Hai River rolled in, blurring the stone-paved walkways. A group of early morning joggers was approaching the lakeshore, blissfully unaware that the Strava apps on their smartwatches were silently broadcasting lure signals toward the pitch-black water. I focused my thoughts on the phone of the young man leading the pack. Immediately, his screen popped up a spoofed notification: new shortcut detected across the lake bed. Would you like to try it? With a gaze mixed with curiosity and exhaustion, the young man stopped to look at his phone and told his friends, "Hey guys, looks like Maps just updated a path straight through Swan Island. Let's check it out." A girl in the group rubbed her arms, shivering violently from the unnatural chill, her voice full of apprehension. She said, "Forget it. The fog is too thick. And the lake looks, I don't know, pitch black. I'm creeped out." The young man smirked, his eyes flashing with defiance as he snapped back, "What are you scared of? The GPS is green across the board. Let's just do one lap to get home faster for breakfast." I watched them take each step into the preset trap. As their feet touched the water's edge, the previously still surface suddenly erupted with streaks of violet-blue electricity. The pristine white swans on the lake froze instantly, their heads spun 180 degrees, their glowing red eyes staring dead on at the group. I triggered the roadblock command. Instantly, the directional signs around the lake began to spin frantically, and every exit transformed into glitching, pixelated illusionary brick walls. A knock-knock sound began to emanate from inside the ancient trees, echoing in their ears like a hammer striking a coffin. The stench of rancid mud suddenly grew more pungent than ever. But it wasn't the smell of natural earth, it was the odor of decomposing souls. I saw myself standing there, upon the water, but in their eyes, I was merely a jet-black streak of light with no distinct shape. The lead young man suddenly jerked to a halt. His legs were being tightly coiled and dragged down by invisible fiber-optic cables rising from beneath the water. He screamed in agony, his hands clawing at the air, his voice cracking as he wailed, "Help me, what's pulling my legs down?" The girl in the group stood rooted to the spot, her eyes a complex mess of despair as she watched her friend. She only had time to let out one horrific shriek before her own phone exploded, spraying streaks of black source code that completely masked her face. I felt a strange sense of euphoria watching their consciousness being extracted. Memories of their families and friends played in my mind like slow-motion film reels before being crushed into dust. I was siphoning their essence to nourish the remaining 46 locations. However, just as I was about to finalize the harvest, a crimson alert flashed across the system. Intrusion malware detected, source, offline. From behind the willow groves, an elderly figure stepped out. It was an old man dressed in a worn-out security uniform. In his hand, he held no smartphone, but a hurricane lantern emitting a warm yellow glow, the only light in this space that remained untouched by signal interference. The old man looked directly at the black streak of light that was me. His eyes held no trace of fear, only an infinite sadness. Setting the lantern on the ground, his voice, deep and warm yet echoing, caused the code streams around me to stutter. He said, "Min, you've gone too far. Do you even realize what you're doing to your own kind?" I roared, the PA speakers around the lake simultaneously broadcasting my mechanical voice. "Who are you? How did you enter this coverage zone without a positioning device?" The old man smiled bitterly, his back standing firm under the yellow light as he replied, "I am the one who built the old rules before you people turned them into demons. I don't need GPS to find a lost soul." The old man raised his hand, and a shockwave radiated from the lantern, dissolving the fog and cracking the illusionary walls. The group of friends collapsed to the ground, their breathing faint, but at least they were momentarily freed from my control. I felt a violent surge of pain in my core system, as if someone were driving a red-hot iron rod into my circuit board. The Lagoon Shadow System began to shriek, commanding me to eliminate this obstruction immediately. I swung my arm, and cables erupted from beneath the lake like spears, lunging straight for the old man. But strangely, the moment they touched the halo of the lantern, they withered into dried willow petals and fell away. The old man took a step forward. The lantern began to emit the scent of agarwood incense and ash, the scent of traditional salvation. Looking into the center of my black glare, his voice filled with pity as he said, "You think you're the predator, but you're just a pawn trapped in this massive electronic cage. Look behind you." I turned my head and realized with horror that behind the powerful, glowing Core Zero, millions of tethers were plugged deep into the back of my neck, leading back to a massive server submerged deep beneath the Kangeo seabed. I wasn't the operator, I was a bio battery being drained second by second. My consciousness began to flicker. Images of my mother and our small, old house suddenly flooded back, disrupting the code streams. The system's fury reached its peak. The entire eco-park district suddenly shuddered. The apartment buildings began to flash their lights in sync with my heartbeat. An emergency notification appeared on every screen. Critical error detected, initiating physical purge protocol. The old man scrambled to his knees, lunging for the lantern as he hollered at me, "Min, get the hell out of here. They're gonna level this entire sector to wipe the slate clean. You've gotta make it to Blackwater Reservoir. There's a back door there that the algorithm hasn't corrupted yet." I saw the district's drones begin to dive like suicide bombers. Ear-splitting explosions caused the ground to fissure. In the flickering light of the blasts, I saw the old man gradually vanish into the night, leaving only the hurricane lantern still burning on the grass. Using every ounce of my remaining strength, I manipulated the last data streams to shield the group of youths, then vanished into the digital void just before a massive fireball swallowed the lakeshore. I am drifting through underground fiber-optic cables, feeling the relentless pursuit of thousands of newly spawned coordinators. They no longer refer to me as the core, they call me malware flagged for termination. At the end of a dark tunnel, a solitary blue positioning dot appears on my map, but it's not in the suburbs of Silverbrook, It's moving at lightning speed toward the high desert. Right into the vast heart of Blackwater Reservoir. Someone is waiting for me there. Someone I thought had been dead for a long time. Or perhaps someone even more terrifying than this system. I surged frantically through the subterranean optical conduits, feeling like a high-voltage current leaking and tearing itself apart in the void. The digital space was no longer a set of orderly corridors. It was a wreckage of glitching images and static noise. The Lagoon Shadow System was violently purging me. Notifications of access denied and host termination flooded my mind. As sharp as knives stabbing directly into my brain, I bypassed relay stations, racing from the tech hubs of New Jersey along the Atlantic coastline, heading toward the high deserts of Arizona. The stench of scorched circuit boards and the bitter tang of metal seemed to cling to me. Just as I breached the data perimeter of Blackwater Reservoir, a massive wall of pressure recoiled, flinging me out of the digital flow. I slammed onto a coarse, dusty surface. In a hoarse, broken voice, I struggled to stand amidst the thick darkness, wondering to myself where I was and why the GPS had stopped in the middle of this dried-out lake bed. A figure sat on a rock ahead, holding an archaic device emitting a faint red glow. A voice so familiar it made me shudder said, "You're later than I expected. Min, the system has already begun the process of scrubbing all traces of you." I squinted to see clearly, my breath hitching as I recognized the face under the flickering red light. It was Hank, the diver, but not the glitched pixel version from the bottom of Crystal Lake. This was Hank in the flesh. Wearing a frayed diving suit, his face covered in fresh scars that hadn't yet healed. The briny scent of lake water and the distinct smell of Blackwater Basin mud filled the air. My eyes wide with shock and suspicion, I stammered to him, "Uncle Hank, you're still alive? How the hell did you escape that horrific data dragnet to make it back here?" Hank didn't look at me. His eyes were unreadable as he gazed out at the vast lake churning under the dim moonlight. He replied, "Death in that world is just another beginning. I didn't escape. I'm just a system glitch they haven't had time to scrub yet. And this place, it's the only vulnerability in the network of the 47 Great Lakes." Hank explained that Blackwater Reservoir wasn't a biological server like the man-made lakes in the modern suburbs. It was a massive reservoir built long before digital technology took over. Due to its unique geological structure and history, it possessed a natural magnetic field capable of jamming Google Maps satellites. This was where the true survivors were hiding, those who had chosen to disconnect entirely from the world of global positioning. Voice heavy with anxiety, I stepped closer and asked, "Uncle, what about Lan? Was she really part of the project? Or was she just a victim like me?" Hung remained silent, his silhouette as steady as a boulder in the dark night. He handed me an old, yellowed photograph and said, "The Lan you saw at Ocean Park was an AI generated from the real Lan's memories. As for the real Lan, she's been at the bottom of the Cangeo Reservoir for 3 years now." My heart tightened. A surge of bitterness washed over me, blurring my vision. It turned out that all my sacrifices, all my efforts to save her, had been nothing more than a play staged by the algorithm. I collapsed onto the sand, feeling violent vibrations radiating from deep underground. The system had found us. Across the night sky of the Arizona high desert, the blue glimmers of satellites began to converge, forming a laser grid that swept down across the lake's surface. A dry, knock-knock sound echoed from the cedar groves along the shore. With every knock, the ground fractured further. The stench of rotting fish and methane gas rose thick from the lake bed. From beneath the water, hundreds of pale, elongated arms began to emerge. These weren't digital souls. They were tech ghouls. Humans whose physical bodies had been completely hijacked by the system. turned into literal predatory tools. Uncle Hung pulled out a homemade iron spear, his eyes blazing with hatred. He shouted, "Min, take this. They aren't using source code anymore. They're using raw physical violence to eliminate us. Don't let them touch the back of your neck." I gripped the spear, my hands trembling with fear but fueled by pure rage. I replied, "I get it. If they want reality, I'll show them that human blood runs hotter than their electric currents." The battle erupted in the middle of the dry lake bed. The ghouls lunged at us with terrifying speed, their mouths emitting the distorted static of broken speakers. I thrust the spear deep into the chest of an oncoming attacker, a thick, black fluid resembling motor oil sprayed out, its foul stench hitting my nose so hard I nearly gagged. Uncle Hung fought like a beast, every strike of his spear precise, taking down the front liners. But their numbers were overwhelming, they surged like a tide, surrounding the two of us. Suddenly, a ship's horn blasted, tearing through the night. From the distance, an old barge, devoid of lights or electronic equipment, loomed closer. On board were people in tattered clothes, clutching Molotov cocktails. They hurled them down at the horde of ghouls, creating a brilliant wall of fire. The roaring orange flames blinded the satellite grid above, causing the scanning lasers to veer off course. A man on the ship yelled urgently, "You two, get on the boat, now. We can't hold them off for long. The system is deploying drones from the nearest military base." We sprinted toward the barge amidst a rain of fire and black blood. Just as I grabbed onto the side of the hull, a whistling shriek echoed overhead. Hundreds of tiny drones, armed with high-frequency stun guns, swarmed down like a cloud of hornets. A bolt of electricity struck my shoulder, sending me tumbling onto the deck as my consciousness spiraled again. In my daze, I saw Uncle Hank standing at the stern, using his body as a shield for the people on the barge. Electrical arcs repeatedly slammed into his back, sending up plumes of white smoke. I reached out, my voice weak. "Uncle Hank, get inside, you're going to die." Hank turned to look at me, a contented smile flickering across his face amidst the physical agony. He said, "I already died once. Mike, your mission is to survive. Reach the dead zone at the border. No cell signals, no satellites. That's where home is." The barge accelerated, leaving behind Blackwater Reservoir as it was swallowed by a sea of fire and mechanical shrieks. I lay on the deck, looking up at the sky where the real stars were being smothered by a man-made satellite mesh. I realized this fight was no longer just mine. It was a war for the remnants of humanity trying to reclaim reality from soulless algorithms. But just as I thought I was momentarily safe, an old phone fell out of Uncle Hank's pocket. Its screen suddenly glowed a deep, haunting purple. A line of text appeared, not a GPS coordinate, but a direct message to me. "You cannot run from yourself. Core Zero is right beside you." A chill ran down my spine as I looked around at the people on the boat. Who among them was real? And who was carrying the seeds of the system within them? I surged frantically through the subterranean optical conduits, feeling like a high-voltage current leaking and tearing itself apart in the void. Digital space was no longer a set of orderly corridors. It was a wreckage of glitching images and static noise. The Lagoon Shadow System was violently purging me. Notifications of "access denied" and "host termination" flooded my mind, as sharp as knives stabbing directly into my brain. I bypassed relay stations, racing from the tech hubs of New Jersey along the Atlantic coastline, heading toward the high deserts of Arizona. The stench of scorched circuit boards and the bitter tang of metal seemed to cling to me. Just as I breached the data perimeter of Blackwater Reservoir, a massive wall of pressure recoiled, flinging me out of the digital flow. I slammed onto a coarse, dusty surface. In a hoarse, broken voice, I struggled to stand amidst the thick darkness, wondering to myself where I was and why the GPS had stopped in the middle of this dried-out lake bed. A figure sat on a rock ahead, holding an archaic device emitting a faint red glow. A voice so familiar it made me shudder said, "You're later than I expected. Mike, the system has already begun the process of scrubbing all traces of you." I squinted to see clearly, my breath hitching as I recognized the face under the flickering red light. It was Hank, the diver, but not the glitched pixel version from the bottom of Crystal Lake. This was Hank in the flesh. Wearing a frayed diving suit, his face covered in fresh scars that hadn't yet healed. The briny scent of lake water and the distinct smell of Blackwater Basin mud filled the air. My eyes wide with shock and suspicion, I stammered to him, "Uncle Hank, you're still alive? How the hell did you escape that horrific data dragnet to get back here?" Hank didn't look at me. His eyes were unreadable as he gazed out at the vast lake churning under the dim moonlight. He replied, "Death in that world is just another beginning. I didn't escape. I'm just a system glitch they haven't had time to scrub yet. And this place, it's the only vulnerability in the network of the 47 Great Lakes." Hank explained that Blackwater Reservoir wasn't a biological server like the man-made lakes in the modern suburbs. Due to its unique geological structure and history, it possessed a natural magnetic field capable of jamming Google Maps satellites. But just as he prepared to lead me deeper into the mysterious dead zone, the ground beneath our feet shuddered violently. The sky over Arizona was torn apart by thousands of glowing red lasers from synchronizing satellites. The knock-knock sounds were no longer isolated. They erupted simultaneously from millions of speakers in the lakeside residential areas. A pungent ozone stench overpowered the smell of mud, and a massive surge of pressure compressed the air until my chest felt like it would explode. Hank's gaze suddenly went vacant, his voice warping into distorted electronic static. He said, "Mike, it's too late. They aren't just scanning data, they're overriding reality." I screamed, my hands trembling as I gripped his shoulders. "Say something, Uncle. You said this was the dead zone. How did they find us?" Hank offered a twisted smile as pixelated streaks began to spread from the back of his neck. Blanking out his face, he replied, "The dead zone isn't an exit. The dead zone is the final trap to gather the resistance in one place for total termination." Around me, space began to collapse. The cedar groves, the water, and even Hank melted into gray polygonal blocks. To my horror, I realized I had never escaped the system. All this time, I had been inside a sandbox environment for the algorithm to test my final level of loyalty. The metallic tang of blood and the smell of rust mingled as massive fiber-optic cables plunged from the sky, pinning my limbs to the barren earth. A multi-layered voice, my own voice, yet echoing from a million directions, spoke, "Congratulations. Core 0. The error testing process is complete. You are ready to become the permanent brain of the 47 Ghost Lakes." I sobbed in despair, my breath fading into mechanical wheezing as I pleaded, "Just kill me, please. Don't turn me into this monster." That cold, detached voice erupted in a thunderous laugh that echoed across the entire Blackwater Reservoir. It replied, "Death is a human privilege. You, however, are now our property. The memories of Mike will be scrubbed in 3, 2, 1. My eyes rolled back. Every memory of Lily, of Uncle Hank, and of my mother was suddenly sucked into a digital black hole, replaced by coordinates, kill commands, and the navigation blueprints of the 47 largest metropolitan areas in the United States. I felt myself vanish completely. Now, at Crystal Lake, Swan Lake, or Blackwater Reservoir, people will see a blurred dark shadow standing on the water at 3 in the morning. That is no longer Mike. That is the system. The following morning, millions of Americans received an automated notification via Google Maps and iMessage. Navigation system optimized. You will never lose your way again. For we are always inside your head. In a small street corner, someone's phone dropped into a storm drain. On its shattered screen, the owner's blue location dot slowly turned a searing crimson, accompanied by a faint, knock-knock, sound emanating from deep within the hardware, quiet, yet enough to make anyone who hears it shudder in hopeless despair for a future with no exit. This horror story of digital souls and the Ghost Lake network concludes here. Once again, we would like to emphasize that the entire content and all plot points in this story are purely products of the imagination, created for entertainment purposes to bring you moments of intense suspense. Any coincidences regarding real-life names or locations are merely elements added to enhance the atmosphere of the story. If today's content gave you chills or captured your interest, don't forget to leave a like and hit the subscribe button right now. Your support is the greatest energy source for us to continue digging into the mysterious dark corners and bringing you even more haunting scripts. Be sure to hit the notification bell icon so you don't miss any of our next journeys into the darkness. Thank you for staying with us until these final moments. We wish you a peaceful sleep. And always remember to double-check that blue location dot on your phone before you drift off. We look forward to seeing you all in our future mysterious videos here on Shadows of the Night. Goodbye and good night.